really did it, guys. They dropped the website. It is the lawsuitinfo.com. As promised by Justin Baldoni's team, they have chosen the path of radical transparency as their preferred method of response here. We never see this. This never happens. Everything's behind closed doors through PR agents. He's just like, here, we're going to play this in public. And just to be clear, they weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively. It was Ryan Reynolds. This was their strategy. And now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. The genie likes to be free, okay? And we're now all paying attention. So I'm just going to very quickly, before I give you all of the tea that I got over the weekend, I'm going to go over the biggest revelations from the filing. And I guess we'll just start with revelation number one, which was that we were totally correct about Ryan Reynolds. What is that, like, personality test? Is it called like an Enneagram personality type 1 through 9? Well, Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is. He's just a psycho. His number is psycho. And we had suspected, just by piecing together everything, that he didn't want Blake Lively to be away from him. Remember, I built out the timeline and I worked through it. And I realized that, oh, this is interesting. Like, Ryan Reynolds is filming at the same time as Blake Lively. He's also doing his Wrexham football stuff. And they're basically apart. And I'm sure he popped back a few times, but for like 4 months scheduled to be apart in a different country. And yeah, I felt that Ryan was kicking up some dust because he didn't want to leave Blake Lively alone with Justin Baldoni because he's away in the UK. And then I was positing that perhaps when he got home, he was either reading her text messages, reading through the dailies, reading through the script, and he just decided, okay, you know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife, okay? And my strongest inclination for that was the fact that on the day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, on the day that both of them had to go back to work, meaning Ryan had to go back to film for Wolverine and Deadpool, Wayfarer gets that shocking email of demands, and basically their production gets suspended while Ryan gets to go in the UK and feel confident knowing that she's not going to see Justin Baldoni until he's back. That was just my speculation. Well, in the recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another, okay, so this is the first time that Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni are speaking to one another, and they're exchanging text messages, and Justin Baldoni does this thing. There's this thing where he's just like so nice and was like, he literally, to sum it up, because I'm not going to read Justin's entire text, he basically is like, I was nervous to even text you. I'm such a fan of you. Like, you're so great. You're amazing. Your wife's amazing. And it then says this like really almost first day of middle school kind of thing where he's like, all of this to say, I know I sound ridiculous, but like, I just really want to be friends with you. Like, he literally tells Ryan he wants to be friends with you. And I can just see Ryan sitting there like, yes, this is exactly what I want, a puppy to kick in the mouth. And you'll do what I say. So I'm going to show you these exchanges. This is Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni. If you guys have not read through them, I recommend that you go on to the site to read it. He even extends like saying how wonderful Blake was because, you know, she was very nice to his wife, says that Blake sent the sweetest message to his wife. I mean, he's being so respectful, falling over himself to be respectful and to say like, hey, can we still be friends? And Ryan Reynolds then sends this text message. And he basically says like, sorry for the delay. I've been writing. The girls are sick again, whatever. It tells him essentially that he hit the jackpot with Blake Lively. She literally passes on every film and every filmmaker all the time. But the one thing I know, and I speak from a deep wellspring of experience here, having her in your court behind the scenes as a creative is invaluable. I'm certain that blank would say the same. So my suspicion is he already says Taylor Swift. Okay. They're blocking this name, and the only name that they seem to be like trying to block is Taylor Swift's throughout this. So I think right at the onset, Ryan Reynolds is throwing down some alpha male, and by alpha male, I mean extremely beta male. I have rich and powerful friends at the top. That's not a confirmation, but I'm looking at the length of the strip, and it's given Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift would say the same. My wife is wonderful. Okay. Anyways, jumping back into these messages, he then moves immediately to ask Justin Baldoni to change their production dates because he's never been apart from Blake Lively so long. He basically says he tried to do it on his end. I'm paraphrasing here. You can go read it on the website. You know, I was frantically trying to address this. I was frantically trying to change this, shorten the shoot, but I can't because, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine is set in stone. They already booked the studio, but like, could you do something to try to punt this? And he ends it with this, which is funny that we're talking about like a sexual lawsuit and what's appropriate. He ends it by saying, all this to say, I'd have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum. Okay, so that is the skin between Ryan's parts. I don't even know how to appropriately state that other than perineum. Okay, he pull that back up again. I would have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum if he, she, or they can figure out how to start 2 weeks earlier. Completely understand how big of an ask that is, but the perineum is one of the most nervy parts of the human body to expose to trauma. What? I'm sorry. I mean, what? Like, so this whole long text is about like, Blake is big, she's powerful, I can't be apart from her for this long. And if you really want to make me happy, like I'm telling you, this is how you do it. Change your production schedule. I'm a big alpha here and my studio can't do it. And Justin falls over himself. And it's like, I will try to, you know, do everything I can to make this happen. Like, you know, I just want to be friends with you. Okay. This now confirms our suspicion that all of those very cringe nice pool scenes in which he was randomly referring to his female dog, you know, Ryan in character being a funny guy. So he had the female dog, which he called Dog Pool. So read, this was meant to be a bitch, right? A literal bitch. He kept saying that she was looking for a new papa while he was away. Okay. Let's watch that clip again so we can all really just feel disturbed right now.
And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, a.k.a. Dog Pool. Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot, and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second, and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor. It shan't happen again.
And he carried that joke over by basically saying that Blake Lively, who I think he's casting as the bitch in that scene, he carried it over to the It Ends With Us promotion, which was weird because this is a movie about domestic violence. It Ends With Us, by again saying in a funny scene that Blake Lively was trying to replace him. Okay. And that's what made us aware, by the way. I was going, nothing in this scene is funny. Nothing in this scene makes sense. Why is he alleging that his wife is trying to place him in a skit which is promoting domestic violence? Why is his mom here and Hugh Jackman? And why do I feel like threatened somehow when I listen to this script? Take a listen.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan. Let's dive in, shall we? I don't feel very comfortable asking this question.
Nope, I got it. I'll get it. Here, I can do that. You're not going to read it? I will then. Okay, thank you very much. That's the one. It says Ryan would love to have a new dad to have a catch. And I think he could really use a man in his life. Hugh is no spring chicken anymore. Blink once for yes, or blink once for I'd love to be your new dad. He blinked. He blinked.
Ms. Reynolds.
Call me Blake.
Oh,
I could blow your mind, dog.
Oh, man.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate.
Holy
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Sir, I have no idea what's happening at all today.
In the retrospect, this is all just so scary. It feels like a form of abuse against Blake. And she's not a victim of any of this. She's totally bratty, and we've gone through her messages as well. But I am just saying that the fact that he doesn't want to be apart from her, and now he's inserted himself into every layer of this movie, something's very wrong here, okay? Well, what else did we learn from the filing? Well, we learned that at the Deadpool after party, Ryan went and found a William Morris Endeavor. Now, that's the biggest agency. Everybody's under them. That's the one that Justin Baldoni got dropped from, and told that executive that they were working with a sexual predator, referring to Justin Baldoni. It says, Lively, Reynolds, and other members of the film cast attended the premiere for Deadpool and Wolverine. And just them having invited these people is basically, I view Ryan as like an infestation. Like, it's the only way I can say it. If he wants to go after you, he infests himself into every area of your life. And he did this Justin Baldoni. He's like, who are your friends? Okay. Who owns the production company? Who owns the next movie script? I am going to infest myself everywhere. I'm going to be doing your movie premiere. I'm going to be doing promos and making fun of you. Right? I'm going to put myself in the end credits. Like, this is like psychotic behavior. Okay. But going back to what they said was mentioned at this party, at the after party, Wayfarer was informed that Reynolds approached a senior executive at WME and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, going as far as to suggest that the agency is working with a sexual predator. Okay. Ryan, personally, and you can take this to the bank, I am telling you right now, this is a fact. This has been confirmed to me. He tried to get Justin Baldoni dropped from WME multiple times before they did. Okay. So all of those articles that came out when Justin got dropped and they were denying that Ryan Reynolds had anything to do with it, those were PR teams that were working overtime behind the scenes, likely their PR team. Leslie Sloan, it's not true. No, it's never. That is a fact. I said, I'm getting leaks right now that someone inside of WME confirmed that Ryan Reynolds was going around trying to get him dropped. Okay. And he didn't get it done. They didn't do it until the lawsuit was filed. Then they immediately dropped him. So another thing that we find out, which is a bombshell from this new filing, is that Ryan and Blake, and really, if I have to say Ryan one more time in a movie that has nothing to do with him, he's a very scary, creepy guy. We found the creep. It's Ryan Reynolds. But when Blake started getting all of this bad press, obviously she did not believe, and this is true Blake, my understanding of her is she's like a true narcissist. She's not very smart. She just wants to be rich and famous and have rich friends. Okay. And I had heard that and known that about her since my days that I was working at Glamour magazine, that she was like really mean to people, but she's like very surface. And as long as Ryan's a lot smarter than her, and she therefore allows him to manipulate and control every layer of his life, so long as she can just, be the princess essentially. Okay. So we find out that when she starts getting bad press, and this is a perfect time for Ryan to manipulate her, in my opinion, she's like, well, he's like, probably like, babe, this can't be because you're not amazing. Look at you. You're hot. You're sexy. You're perfect. Give me your phone. I'm going to draft a statement that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer have to read, because the public noticed that her press appearances were weird. They found her to not be deep at all. They didn't like that she was promoting her hair products. They didn't like that she was not taking the theme of domestic violence seriously. And then they found these old videos of her. And they didn't believe this. So they gave them the opportunity, basically put a gun to their head and said, this is a statement that we want you to read. Essentially, Ryan demanded that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer lie to the public to save Blake's reputation. Here's the statement that Ryan Reynolds drafted, according to this lawsuit. And the text messages show this, by the way. The emails. Statement prepared by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It was actually Ryan Reynolds on behalf of James Heath, and Wayfarer. They wanted them to say this to us, guys. It Ends With Us was a troubled production, which we, meaning Justin and Wayfarer, take full accountability for. We are very sorry to everyone that we caused upset to, privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, and the entire cast and crew led with professionalism every step of the way. Any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. We mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understood why. Lies! Understood why? Yeah, I guess it's not a lie, because you were freaking out and threatening to do things if he was in the same room as her. We have always said that we are not perfect, and even if it unintentionally made mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not anyone's job but ours, and that's part of being quote unquote man enough. So that's a little Ryan dig right there. Even in the statement he was going to force him to read, making fun of Justin Baldoni and his like man enough book and podcast and all that stuff. So he's saying you need to be man enough and just say that this is all your fault, that the public doesn't like my wife. We will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from the experience, and we thank everyone for their patience as we find a better way to proceed. We are very proud of the film and the welcome arms that it has been received. Part of our work is to have uncomfortable conversations for public growth. The film is doing that on screen, and we are doing that off screen. Thank you to the cast and crew and public for the opportunity to be imperfect and to be given the space to learn and grow. with humanity and dedication. So this is like why I love this lawsuit, because this is an insight to the public that everything you read is BS. They just lie. Like literally, we are just being lied to, right? There's somebody behind the scenes who's being a little psycho. They want to control public thoughts. They want to control public minds. And they are basically like, you're going to read this statement with a gun to your head, even though this has been a terrible thing. And even though it is our fault, we have been awful to you. We've been threatening this movie every step of the way to get what Blake Lively wants and really what Ryan wants more than anything else, having you move dates. We've been a pain in the ass, but you're going to take it on the chin because you wrote a book and have a podcast about being man enough. I mean, and fortunately, they said, no, we're not reading this. This is a lie. We're not going to tell the public this, that the reason we're separated was like agreed upon mutually. It wasn't agreed upon mutually. You came at them with a figurative gun to their head and you put his family in the basement. I'm sorry the public noticed, because the reality is these Hollywood types, they think we are all stupid. We are so dumb. All they need is a PR machine and the right reporter at the Hollywood Reporter and the right reporter at the Daily Mail and Page Six, whatever it is, and they'll tell us what to think. This is how their brains work, okay? Fourth revelation that came is that Sony informed them that there would be a cast-wide boycott if James Heath or Justin Baldoni attended the premiere. How's that for that statement? Actually, we learn that on July 23rd, 2024, Sony informs Wayfarer, the studio financing the premiere and most of the film, that Lively had demanded that Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer refrain from attending the New York premiere and threatened a cast-wide boycott if they do. Oh, this is really Justin's fault. I need to be man up and accept, the public, you're noticing some things, but you're wrong, public. Basically, the command was gaslight the public while behind the scenes, we act awful. That was the command. That was the instruction, okay? And this kind of brings in the Brandon Sklenar piece, because I have just been amazed at how involved he got and how the cast just like knew that Justin was a good person but went along with this anyways. And I had reduced this to essentially A-list syndrome. Like all of these people who, if you even aspire to be like a Hollywood actor and actress, in most circumstances, you're dealing with someone who probably has some narcissistic tendencies. I'm not saying everyone, okay? But the majority. This is why we have these stereotypes about Hollywood, right? They're not people that treat people well. They're all just trying to climb to the top and they'll do anything to get there. And that's my viewpoint of Brandon Sklenar. It really is. And so some TikToker did a little digging and figured out how they were able to pluck off these cast members, essentially rolling the red carpet and showing them the A-list life. And I'm going to show you this user on TikTok is called Steph with the Deets. So I'm just going to allow her to plug in for you this Brandon Sklenar piece.
Well, it all makes sense now. Do you guys know who this is? Does she look familiar? Her name is Liz Plank. Yes, Liz Plank, who is Justin Baldoni's co-host on their podcast, Man Enough. The same Liz Plank that jumped ship just a few days after Blake Lively filed her legal complaint against Justin Baldoni. Not only did Liz Plank post this photo in 2019 thanking Ryan freaking Reynolds, he also posted her book to his story. She also was unwelcome to Wrexham.
Ryan and I had questions, so we went to the only logical place for answers. A woman.
Hi, my name is Liz Plank. In the first episode of the show, Rob said that he went to Ryan for movie money.
Apparently, Welcome to Wrexham is a TV series that took an inside look at the unusual beginnings and dynamics of Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's football friendship. Ryan Reynolds is the self-co-chairman of the series. Liz had posted this on October 17th, 2022. Caption, thanks to Ryan and Rob for letting me psychoanalyze them and talk about butts on TV. Want to know who else visited Wrexham on Ryan Reynolds' dime? Brandon Sklenar, aka Timu Thor. And this was December 14th, 2024. And allegedly, Blake Lively had invited Brandon and Isabella to book Bonanza and paid for their trip to Texas to attend. Pretty disgusting how all these people were just bought. Who cares about a moral compass? Just give me like a role on a TV show, send me somewhere nice. And this is why I don't even care about the co-stars anymore. They tried to make that a huge deal that they all unfollowed Justin Baldoni. I want to hear about what like the crew is saying. The people behind the scenes that we don't see on camera. I want to hear what they're saying about all this.
Amen. Right. So that's pretty much Liz Plank. We were like, why did she suddenly, like, we thought it was weird. We noticed that she was following Blake Lively and Blake Lively's following her and Ryan Reynolds is following her. And literally, this is what I mean when I say these are psychopathic tendencies. He was infesting every layer of Justin Baldoni's life. So he has his podcast with Liz Plank. Well, we're going to need her as an ally. So what are we going to do? I'm going to put her in a docuseries that I'm working on with Wrexham about football. Like, what? Why is she there? Because Ryan wanted he wanted to isolate him. I want you to understand that. This is what really bugs me about this is narcissistic abuse. He wanted him to feel alone and like he had no one on his side. And the means for him to attain that was through his wealth and like the A-list clientele that he surrounds himself with. You know, me and Hugh are going to be on the set promoting your film, making fun of you. Like, I really want you guys to think about how insane that is. And this kind of throws me back to the real hero in all this. Martha Stewart, a while ago, went on to some show. She was promoting something, one thing or another. And she basically said that she knows Ryan and he's not a funny guy. Like she was basically alerting the public to the fact that Ryan Reynolds is kind of a psycho. Like she didn't say it, but she was like, he's pretty serious. Like she's basically letting people know that he puts on this persona as this funny, nice guy, and this isn't who he is. And so listen to what Martha Stewart had to say on this random game show.
We asked Bilt's members what celebrities would be the most fun to hang out with.
He's probably on the list just because he covers himself up in his movies and you don't see his face. Ryan Reynolds, is he one of those? And you want to know something? He's not so funny in real life.
Really?
No, he's not so funny. He's very serious. No, Taylor, then I would do Snoop, and then I would take Ryan off it, and I would put in somebody else.
I'm so surprised that Ryan Reynolds isn't funny. This is like a shocker to me. I see him walking up and down our neighborhood all the time.
He can act funny, but he isn't funny. Maybe he can get to be funny again.
I'm so disappointed, actually.
I'm going to get in trouble. He's my neighbor. He's my neighbor.
So she was spilling. She was letting people know that this whole persona, nice guy, funny guy, is an act. And that's not who he is behind the scenes. And I think he is a very disturbed, angry individual. I was also positing with my team something else that, and this is, by the way, this is not anybody insider leaking this, but I find it interesting that one thing that the public hasn't discussed enough is the Scarlett Johansson piece. So if he has this narcissistic, abusive tendencies, which I believe everything he did was narcissistic and abusive. We saw that in Deadpool, even against Justin Baldoni. So we don't even have to imagine what he does to Blake Lively at home or anything like that. But if he's already publicly admitted that he has these control issues and they stem from the fact that his father was always screaming, and we now know that Ryan's also a screamer, so he basically just became his dad. So that whole little scene about like his father and unresolved issues, it's looking like you might have just become who you allege your father was. He sat down, I think it was with the New York Times or whoever it was, and said that he developed these control issues, like he's very controlling because he felt the only way that he could get his dad not to scream in the house was to make sure everything was like within his control. Okay, so that's why Ryan is the way that he is. And when you apply that to Scarlett Johansson, the limited things that she said about her relationship when she was married to him only for 2 years, okay? Scarlett Johansson was instantly A-list. She was at the top of her game. I was going through all of her stuff. And what's funny is his whole relationship with like the bromance between him and Hugh Jackman registers to me as weird. I don't think it's cute now. I think it's really weird. And what's funny is the way that they started this like bromance was actually they didn't quite like each other because Ryan Reynolds was holding on to, and they both admitted this publicly, to a comment that Hugh Jackman made, because when Hugh Jackman was an A-list star, so was Scarlett Johansson, and they starred next to each other in this movie. I think it's called the Prestige. Mark will correct me in my ear if I'm wrong. The Prestige? Okay, great. It was called The Prestige, and this is like around the time that she's with Ryan Reynolds, okay? And Ryan Reynolds was jealous. Ryan Reynolds was controlling. It had always been alleged that this was about Ryan Reynolds. And Scarlett Johansson is not Blake Lively, okay? She's known to be, and I can tell you this because I worked at a firm, we did movies, and I literally met Scarlett Johansson. She's known to be very bright. She is known to be very classy, and she's known to be very kind. And so I get this sense that if you're that kind of a control person and Scarlett Johansson after 2 years goes, peace, I'm out of this marriage, you will never let that go, because now we know he holds a grudge. He was mad at Hugh Jackman because of something that Hugh Jackman said to him when he was married to or engaged to Scarlett Johansson. He said something like, I don't want you doing anything to my girl or whatever, like, you know, something that like an uncle might say, like protective of Scarlett Johansson. And Ryan held on to this for years. And her career has always been bigger, has always been greater. She's the highest paid actress in Hollywood, Scarlett Johansson. And I think someone like him would still be bothered by this, even though they, you know, amicable breakup, it's fine. She doesn't care. She's remarried. I think he still does care to try to one up her. And what I found interesting and why I'm bringing this up right now is that in 2023, in December, it was announced that Scarlett Johansson was doing a movie that's now called Eleanor the Great with Wayfarer and Sony Studios. Okay. He would have known about this. He would have found out about this probably before the public found out. So if we found out in December of 2023 that this was happening, and then it was announced again about Wayfarer and Sony Studios, did that set him off in a weird way? It was her directorial debut, the first time she was going to be directing a film. And here's the headline here: Scarlett Johansson to make her directorial debut with Eleanor the Great. I'm just wondering. I'm not going to say anything else, but I find that piece to be compelling about his character. I think ScarJo may have been the one who got away, and he wanted someone who was like dumber and more basic behind her. And from all accounts, by all accounts, he got it. Not to disrespect Blake Lively, but she's just not known to be that bright. And I think that allows him to more easily control her. Okay, last thing that I want to bring up before I tell you all the tea and what everybody dropped that's interesting and compelling from this website was the budget thing, because this really tells you who Blake Lively is, okay? So on April 25th, they had to send around this email about the wardrobe budget versus the price. And this isn't the final price, by the way. This is just by April 25th. Here it is, the email that went around. It says, hi all, wardrobe budget for spending was $185K. Normally, wardrobe overspends and then does tons of returns and ends up in budget. Our wardrobe team just told me that they'd spent about $500K and then land back at $185K once returns are done. To date, they have already spent $615,000. Now, if you read the lawsuit, it's because Blake wanted to be in control. Again, she likes pretty things. She wants to believe that she's this wonderful stylistic person. She wanted to be in control of, and she changed around the entire wardrobe, and she picked the wardrobe. And then when pictures of her leaked on set of this wardrobe, this very expensive wardrobe that she had put together because she had a vision for what this character would look like, the public said it was like the ugliest thing they've ever seen. They didn't like it, and they got terrible feedback. And Justin then went to have a conversation with her, like, I would like to have some say in what this character is wearing. My sister told me, my little sister said, she looked like Lizzie McGuire. It was terrible. I didn't see the movie, but my sister said she looked like Lizzie McGuire. So she thinks she's this huge, artistic, amazing thing because that's what Ryan tells her so he can keep controlling her. That's my theory, okay? But that's absurd. It really shows you how bratty she is. And they also indicate that she had to bring they made her, like she made the team bring all of the clothes to her penthouse rather than her showing up and having a fitting on set, which is what's normal. All right, guys, so now I'm about to take you down the rabbit hole of what is really going on. Basically, how everyone involved here is essentially strapped to a figurative bomb, and it's how they got here is a bunch of petty power trips. Real inside baseball. I mean, I have all the TT, and it is going to make you sick, which is why we should at first be reminded about the wellness company, okay? Now that Dr. Fauci has been pardoned, RFK Jr. is going to unearth what most of us already knew about the pandemic. Sadly, this effort is not going to help the tens of millions who have never felt the same after getting the virus or getting the mRNA shots. Luckily for the American people, Pfizer has been forced to release a detailed list of the side effects associated with its COVID-19 shots. One of the less severe but common side effects is long COVID syndrome, a condition that leaves people feeling brain fog, chronic fatigue, and shortness of breath, lingering for months and in some cases even years. The Wellness Company makes it easy for you with their new long COVID syndrome support. You get 4 doctor-formulated nutraceuticals with 5 to 8 plants and minerals in each body designed to address the root causes. The ultimate spike detox of mind lift, elevated energy, and healthy heart by Dr. McCullough with the Wellness Company recommends a durable recovery through holistic health. Explore more targeted solutions like long COVID syndrome support. Right now, my listeners will save $34 off their order plus free shipping when you head to twc.health/Candace and use code Candace at checkout. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. Okay. Now for the Hollywood tea. First and foremost, you have to understand the PR players involved because that is crucial to everything that has happened here, okay? So I'm going to show you this. I put together this map for you, like a psychopath, okay? Wayfarer Studios, so this is the PR firms. Jones Work PR, which is headed up by Stephanie Jones, and under Stephanie Jones was a woman who was partner named Jennifer Abel, and they were representing Wayfarer Studios and Justin Baldoni at the beginning of this movie. Stephanie Jones is apparently the #1 PR person in Hollywood. She's also like a throwback to the culture where people want to be like devils wear Prada. She's known to be mean. Business Insider did like a whole article on her past employees and how, you know, she makes jokes of like, I stay alive on Adderall and coffee. Like she's like a walking Vogue movie in her own brain, from my understanding and what I've read online about her. And so this is who they hired because they're best in the game. Then you have Vision PR, that's Leslie Sloan's company, and she reps Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And then on the outside over there to the right, you have a woman named Melissa Nathan, who you've seen in this lawsuit. I could not find any photos of her other than that one, which was in the New York Times, but she was not involved. She's the crisis PR person that comes in later, okay? Here is what then happens, and this is very crucial. Jennifer Abel puts in her notice on July 10th of 2024. She tenders her resignation and says, Steph, I'm leaving you. And apparently you are not allowed to leave Stephanie Jones. You don't get out of there unscathed. And she just says, nothing personal. I'm not happy. They've released the emails. You know, I just don't want to be at this company anymore. But the problem is that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer don't want Jennifer to leave. They're like, we want to go with you because they've established some sort of a relationship with her. Okay. She is also friends with Melissa Nathan. Like they had developed a friendship over the year, I guess, like small world of PR. That's why the two of them are now being listed in this lawsuit against Wayfarer by Stephanie Jones. And they try to keep her happy, Stephanie Jones. And she's just like, you know what? I've prayed on this. I want to move on and do my own thing. And Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni say, you know what? We're out too. Like we're going to go with her and wait for her to establish her own thing, which she didn't do, I don't think, until this year. I couldn't find it. Anyways, we're going to move them over now because in Stephanie's mind, she's just been stabbed in the back by one of her employees. Okay. She's not happy about this. She's going, what's going on here? Why are you gone? Are you going to go join this girl? Melissa, she didn't, by the way. She did say independent. Melissa does PR, but like, and Justin then hires Melissa for his crisis PR. So this is now the new team here that's dealing with everything. And to just show you how insane Stephanie maybe potentially is, you can see that she puts in her notice in July, referring to Jennifer Abel, puts in her notice in July 10th. And she says, I'm not going to leave until August 23rd. That's a long, pretty long time there, 6 weeks, whatever's required. And 2 days before she was about to leave on August 21st, this is in the filing, Stephanie Jones basically tells her that you are going to have to come into the office because, like I said, you don't survive if Stephanie Jones is angry, if she feels betrayed, and she is potentially going to burn you in Hollywood. That's the understanding from people that play inside baseball here. And the reason she can do this, okay, ready? Huge drop. Stephanie Jones is married to Jason Hodes. Now you're going, Candace, I don't know who Jason Hodes is. Jason Hodes is a senior partner at WME, okay? William Morrison Endeavor, the people that dropped Justin Baldoni. Jason Hodes is a senior partner. That is him next to Tom Brady. Why? Because Tom Brady is his client. That's how big he is, okay? Big guy. And so this is why Stephanie is able to make these sorts of, allegedly make these sorts of threats of like, you do what she wants so people know things could get bad for you very quickly. So you imagine Justin Baldoni walks with this Jennifer Abel and she's feeling like she's been betrayed. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that there was collusion between a married couple, but I am saying that I collude with my husband because we're a married couple. That's what I'm saying, okay? So how exactly does Stephanie decide to exact her revenge? Well, we don't know, but anything other than the facts, which is again on August 21st, she calls Jennifer 2 days before she's supposed to leave amicably and forces her to hand over her phone. Okay. She says that she's going to confiscate it. And I'll read you directly from the lawsuit. She says, on August 21st, 2024, 2 days before her last day, Abel pulls up to the Jones Work office in Beverly Hills, There she is confronted by a physically imposing security guard, a lawyer sitting at a conference table covered in documents, an IT professional, and Jones's chief of staff who had flown in unannounced from New York. These people are nuts. I mean, apart from, because somebody just quit their job without people being crazy, like they're just demented in Hollywood. Anyways, it goes on. It says, apart from Jones's chief of staff, Abel had never seen any of them before. After being ushered into the conference room, Abel sees that the security guard is posted just outside its doors. Sorry to laugh, but like they're all nuts. They're all insane in Hollywood. They don't know they're insane though. Blocking the exit. In a menacing and cold tone, the attorney points to documents and tells Abel to review and sign them. This is what I would imagine it's like leaving a cult. The attorney claims that Jones' work believes she had proprietary information on her personal laptop and will likely have grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. So it goes on and she basically says, like, please, I've had this number since I was a kid. She's shell-shocked. She wants to get out of there. She doesn't want to sign the document. She doesn't have anybody representing, telling her like that she had to hand this over, apparently. The attorney then presents Abel with a list of approximately 10 documents, accuses her of having accessed them and stolen them. Abel denies having done so. The IT specialist conducts a search of her laptop, which again turns up nothing. So they think that she's colluding. I don't know what they think is going on, but you have to imagine that at this same time, Blake is starting to get bad press, okay? So I have seen this happen before. I kid you not, okay? When somebody leaves a company, people get kooky with their conspiracy theories about who they're potentially colluding with, okay? It's happened to me. And you really are like, hey man, like I just want to leave this company. And they're going, nope, this can't be it. You must be doing something. You must be doing something behind the scenes to try to spite me, because why would you want to leave me? I'm so great. This is like the Hollywood psychotic mentality. So they're going through her stuff. They're not finding anything in her stuff. They take her phone, and this is how magically Ryan and Blake end up with these text messages that they later doctor, which we are able to see in the full context later, that the New York Times later doctors to make people think that they were plotting against Blake Lively, when in reality, they were just laughing at the fact that as the crisis PR person, Melissa Nathan, and as the main PR person now, because they're walking with her, that they actually didn't have to do any work because people just didn't like Blake Lively. So it's like Steph from Jones' work, Steph Jones's narcissism. She can't see clearly, and she just thinks she's being plotted against. And she's had a rough year because there's a bunch of employees that are starting to speak about how awful she is behind the scenes. And then you couple that with Ryan and Blake's a narcissism, and you've got essentially Hollywood types that truly suffer from this God complex, okay? It's a God complex. Like, there's no way I'm not liked. There's no way anyone wants to leave me. It is so obvious that some people must be plotting behind the scenes. Like, Candace must be plotting with this person. They're crazy. They're just insane, okay? And now it's too late. You got the messages, and they're going to the New York Times. Now, let me tell you what Steph does not know, okay? Because when I got this, I was going, okay, this case is going to get insane, people, okay? So what Steph did majorly here, obviously, was I am seeing clearly here, like she helped to get the civil complaint pieces out of context messages. That's how the messages got handed over. Whether she's going to argue that she had to hand them over, or like Ryan, whatever, I think my suspicion is these two were colluding, okay? Because neither could see past their own nose. But the potential blowback here for WME as a whole, essentially, you can't mess with me because I'm so-and-so, you can't mess with me because I'm so-and-so. Well, apparently, because Ryan and Blake were immediately, as we saw in the filings, being litigious, being psychopathic, being crazy, trying to take over the film. I mean, the timeline reveals to us the first time that Ryan screamed at Justin Baldoni, first time he yelled at him, was when Justin Baldoni asked the trainer who Blake got for him, how much does Blake weigh so that we can train for me to lift her up? And he showed that there was a scene where he's supposed to lift her up. He had like a double herniated disc thing. It's all documented. Like, this guy was just literally trying to make sure that he lifted her in a way that wouldn't injure his back. And then when Ryan gets home from Wrexham, he's like, brr, brr, you asked how much my wife weighs to make sure you don't hurt your back. Don't you ever do that again. Like, beta male stuff. Well, because they were being crazy early on in 2023, somebody, and I don't know who the person was, okay? Somebody advised everyone to record everything. Somebody had a gut instinct and said, we need to record everything because they were already being accused of things that weren't true, right? Ryan and Blake are insane. They're saying things that didn't happen. She's saying like he said sexy on set. He's like, I said sexy on set because you've said sexy on set, and this is how you discussed wardrobe with me, so I thought it was okay. And like they already can see which way the wind is blowing, okay? So I don't know who gave us advice. I mean, they said record everything. So this is the reason why she didn't think the scene was recorded, or she didn't think that it was on, like they were catching the audio, and they have it, okay? This advice maybe came from Sony, maybe it came from the lawyers, maybe it came from PR, maybe it came from Steve Sarowitz, maybe it came from Justin Baldoni's wife, who said start recording everything, okay? Who knows? But because the writing was on the wall early on, they wanted to leave nothing to Ryan and Blake's crazy ass, wild Game of Thrones, dragging, breathing imaginations. And they started recording everything. And I'm talking conversations with execs. Everything is recorded. They made an early, we're dealing with an unhinged couple, so we need to cover our asses as a matter of basic safety decision, okay? And boy, oh boy, is that instinct, that early instinct that somebody had about to pay off. So this is like when the criminals are lying, saying the police officer beat him, but he didn't know the police officer had the body cam on and the CCTV footage from up above, everything. And it's like, oh man, you got really caught cold lying about this one. This is one of these circumstances. Remember, New Jersey, which is where It Ends With Us was filmed, is a one-party record state, okay? So I don't know if you know this, every state has its own recording rules, which means that like I am in the state of Tennessee, we are one-party recording. So if someone calls me right now, I can record it for safety. Just like, I'm just gonna record this conversation for safety. I don't know. And I do this, by the way, with journalists. When they call me, I record the conversation just for safety because I don't trust them. I don't trust them. I'm not saying they're not gonna lie. I'm saying they are gonna lie. And so I record every conversation. So I have a record of it. So New Jersey is a one-party record state. And so this is a major oopsies. Because they're all like crabs in the barrel. They're all lying right now, thinking that their lawyers are gonna be able to prove and dissuade the public, but there are like undeniable facts. And it's not just the fact that they captured her alleged assault on camera. It's everything. The lawsuit is about to get insane. The recordings are going to be slow. It's going to be painful drip now that everybody has published their lies. Just like I said, like they were shocked. They couldn't believe they had an audio recording of her alleged sexual harassment. And then now they're like trying to come up and change the public perception. A lot of that going to happen. And I'm telling you, these WME execs, Stephanie, her husband, they're going to be having some tough conversations because this is going to blow back on them. And by the way, we're talking about an agency. This is going to hurt them. I mean, like really hurt this agency because you don't want to believe that execs at the very tippity top are being essentially threatened or bullied or coerced or extorted and by a couple like Ryan and Blake or like Taylor Swift, right? There are some conversations that were had. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be good for any of these people. Like it says, this is not good for Endeavor. And it's all because Stephanie Jones was a little paranoid, okay? She was like, nobody, genuinely, Steph, if you're watching this, I genuinely don't like Blake Lively. Like I genuinely know, I've known she's a brat. So nobody's paying me to say this. No one's told me to say this. I think people really didn't like her during those premiere things and there was no plot against you, okay? Come down from your high horse. The same for Blake and Ryan. There's no plot. You're genuinely this despicable and unlikable. Having read for the lawsuit, even more so. So if the next Deadpool movie fails, I want you to know no one's plotting. We just don't like you. I hope that clears things up for you. A couple of more things that I'm going to tell you first. I want to remind you about Oracle because if you think it is a bit overhyped, whether or not you think it's overhyped, AI is suddenly everywhere, from self-driving cars to molecular medicine to business efficiency. If it's not in your industry yet, you know that it's coming and it's coming fast. But AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? Well, it's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, also known as OCI. OCI is a blazing fast and secure platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, plus all your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for compute and 80% less for networking. So you're saving a pile of money. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded to OCI, including Vodafone. You have Thomson Reuters and Suno AI. Right now, Oracle is offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move over to OCI, which is huge. for new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment. The offer will end on March 31st, however. So see if your company qualifies for the special offer at oracle.com/Candace. Again, that's oracle.com/Candace. Also reminding you about Pure Talk, one of our great sponsors here, because this country was founded on freedom from a country that forced us to buy overpriced tea, then tried blockading us when we dumped their tea into the ocean. How did that work out? Well, I'll tell you how it worked out. I married an Englishman, so I think they're back. Anyways, it's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard too. You don't need to pay $100 a month just to get a free phone. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, says no to inflated prices with a qualifying plan of just $45 a month. You can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. And yes, this is for premium service, unlimited talk, text, 25 gigs of data, and a mobile hotspot at a fraction of the price of the big guys. All on America's most dependable 5G network. You can get your iPhone 14 or Samsung Gallery for $0 by visiting puretalk.com/Candace. I'm sorry, that's puretalk.com/Owens today. Switching is easy. Again, puretalk.com/Owens to claim your new iPhone or your Galaxy with qualifying purchases from Pure Talk, America's wireless company. All right, so some more points. I just love the idea that everybody's recorded. I just love it. I love it. I want Sony execs. I want to hear it. I want to hear WME execs. I want to hear Steph. I want to hear everything. I want to hear it all. Okay. This is like, we're never going to give this opportunity to just really see inside of Hollywood in this way. You know what I'm saying?